Students, faculty, families, guests, welcome to this afternoon's celebration of Berwick Academy's class of 2025. To begin the program this afternoon, we're going to share a poem written collaboratively by our entire 8th grade class about getting through the pandemic. The poem draws inspiration from Maya Angelou's Still I Rise. And to read the class poem, I'd like to invite to the stage John Civitrice and Naya Strong.
Every morning I wake with masks and hand sanitizer. I spend so many days at home and online. I have learned to social distance. Still, I rise.
I rise, even when putting on a mask feels impossible, even when it feels unbearable not to shake a hand or give a hug. I cry when I see the death toll up, up, up.
Every morning I wake with a thought and a dream. I set out on my way to live. I cry for my vacation that never happened. I cry for my friends that I can't see. But still, I rise. Even when I can't go outside, I rise.
Sometimes I rise, feeling light as a feather, happy as can be. Sometimes I fall, not sure what to do or where to go. I have learned so much from this time to never take anything for granted. Trying not to fall again, I still rise.
But this is okay. It is okay to cry. It is okay to be happy. I rise like the wind and sky. I rise even when I fly. I sing of life through my eyes.
I notice it all now and savor the bright sun. I spend my days walking into the light, doing what I love and exploring new things. I rise like the sun. Do you want to see me fly?
Every morning I wake with passion and resilience. I rise like the sun shining through my window. I rise even when I'm down. I sing of belief and hope and empathy. I find my courage.
And now I rise like the morning sun, like a shining star. I rise like steam coming off the coffee cup, which I so desperately need. I yawn to power my brain with a new wave of air, jump-starting today's thoughts and ideas.
I set out to get my vaccine. We are returning to normal, closer and closer every day. Leaving behind the darkness and weight, I start to see color.
I have learned to be brave and stride through my problems. I've noticed my stamina grow bigger and better. I've spent so many days hoping and dreaming. Now I live through them, glistening and gleaming. The person I am now is the best version of me.
I will find my hopes and dreams, laying on the clouds, soaring through the stars. I catch them as they are. I set out on my own way. I notice it all now. I have learned to help others. I have learned to what really matters. I spent so many days waiting for today, getting back to the old ways. I am ready for a new world. So rise, my friends, rise up.
All right. Thank you, Naya and John, and all the 8th graders, as well as our 8th grade English teachers, Ms. Vandenberg and Ms. Anderson, for their work on that poem of resilience and strength. So good afternoon again, everyone, and welcome to our 8th grade Baccalaureate program. The class of 2025 is a particularly special group of students, and while it's somewhat bittersweet to see them go, we're also very excited to officially close their middle school experience with some time today for recognition, reflection, and celebration. I've got a few comments that I'm going to share with all of you today, but before I delve into those thoughts, I'd like to begin by recognizing a few people. First, I want to offer a thank you to all the parents and families of our 8th graders, not only for being here this afternoon to celebrate our students' transition from middle school to upper school, but more importantly, for all the support and guidance that you've offered your children during their time in the middle school, for all the collaboration and cooperation you've shared with our teachers to ensure that your sons and daughters have learned, grown, and enjoyed positive experiences, and for the sacrifices you've made to provide them with an exceptional education here at Berwick Academy. With all that in mind, I'd like to ask our 8th graders and our faculty to join me in a round of applause for our parents and families. In particular, I'd like to recognize several parents who've gone out of their way to support this class and the middle school in general. First, several parents have helped support our students, faculty, and the entire community through their efforts volunteering with the Berwick Parent Community, or the BPC. And I want to take a moment to recognize our BPC middle school coordinators, Trish Gray and Katie Watts, as well as our 8th grade representatives, Timothea Smith and Tracy Kosker. Thank you all for your support. I also want to take a moment to mention that earlier today, the kids received their 8th grade memory books. And hopefully you'll all get a chance to take a peek at them later on this evening. They're wonderful keepsakes. They really provide a great window into the kids' school experience. And I want to take a moment to publicly thank Timothea Smith, Callie Tucker, and Rebecca Henry for all the work they put into creating those books for the kids, particularly under unusual circumstances this year. Thank you all. Also, I'd like to recognize and thank our middle school teachers who work tirelessly on behalf of our students. As you can see, I'm getting grayer and grayer. I've worked in middle schools for 24 years now. I've had the chance to collaborate with a lot of different educators over the years, and I'm truly amazed by this group. Their dedication, the care that our middle school teachers show their students each and every day is unparalleled. They make the effort to get to know their students as individuals, to help them discover their talents and passions, to build their self-confidence, to put forth their best effort in all of their endeavors. Over the years, many people have said that they didn't fully appreciate the impact that their middle school teachers had on them until much later in their lives. So 8th graders, I hope that you're all aware of the time and energy that these people have invested in your growth and in your learning. So please join me now in thanking your teachers. In particular, there are several teachers who are moving on from the middle school next year, and I want to briefly recognize them and share the school's appreciation for the following dedicated and outstanding educators. First, let's take a moment to thank our middle school teaching apprentices, Courtney Bliss, Alex Doig, and Megan Burke, all of whom established themselves as key members of our middle school community this year. Please join me in thanking them and wishing them well as they embark on their teaching careers beyond the campus of Berwick Academy. Also, we have one teacher who isn't leaving Berwick, but is shifting back to the lower school after a terrific year with us in Clement. Jess Richardson, we're definitely going to miss having you here with us, but we're so happy that you're just on the other side of the mini-turf so that we can visit. So thank you for everything you've done for our students and for the middle school this year. Please don't be a stranger. And finally, Spanish teacher Jen Hill and middle and upper school band teacher Stephanie Sanders, who, much to our collective chagrin, are leaving Berwick for new adventures next year. Jen and Stephanie, you will both be missed terribly, and you leave behind enormous shoes to fill. Thank you for everything that you've done on behalf of your students and for Berwick, and best wishes going forward to Ms. Hill and Ms. Sanders. Thank you. All right, so 8th graders, here we are, the last moments of your middle school experience, and you have to listen to me talk one more time. Today, I'm not going to throw any bad jokes at you. You probably heard enough of those at assemblies this year. I'm not going to throw a blue and white challenge your way. I'm not going to do some Alex Trebek-style game show. I've actually got a little bit more serious message for you, so I'm going to ask that you all pay attention for a few minutes, really listen to what I say, because I'm going to encourage you all to do something that I think, if you're willing to give it a try, could have a big impact on what you make of the future. And I'm going to start by bringing us back just a few weeks to early May. I was in the great room. It was first thing in the morning. The final students were arriving for the day. Advisory period was just about to begin. And Ms. Vandenberg, who was helping with check-in, she noticed an 8th grader who will remain unnamed, was about to be late to advisory. The student was standing by the cubbies, clearly waiting around for one of her friends to arrive. And Ms. Vandenberg asked the student to go ahead to advisory. And she said, "Don't worry, your friend can catch up with you later." And the student headed off just as she was asked, but not before she unleashed the most exaggerated eye roll that I've ever seen in 24 years of teaching middle school. I mean, it was like a treacherous eye roll. Like, I felt like I could almost hear her spinal cord kind of compressing. It was one of those like, ugh. Like, I thought we had to call Miss Chang up just to check and make sure she was okay and didn't have a neck injury. And, in the weeks since that moment, I've thought a lot about what exactly was the student trying to communicate with that eye roll. And I don't know precisely, of course, what thoughts were running through her mind, but my guess that it was something along the lines of this. It was something like, "I am so done with middle school. I'm 14. I don't need teachers telling me what to do all the time. I can go get to advisory by myself. Why don't they stop treating me like a little kid?" And if my guess is correct that that's what was running through the student's mind, I'd say that's pretty typical. It's pretty understandable. And she wasn't wrong. You guys are done with middle school. You've proven to us that you're ready for the next step, that you're ready to take on a little more independence. So juxtapose that image, right, of the intense eye roll with what occurred just seconds later when Miss Stempion bounded up the middle school stairs, literally skipping like a second grader as she crossed the great room with her, "Oh my God, I have to tell you something my students did. It's so inspiring. You're going to love this." And she proceeded to tell us one of her stories with all the glee of a young kid on the morning of their birthday. There was something about those two back-to-back moments that stuck with me over these last few weeks. That combination of the 8th grade eye roll and the teacher skipping in excitement, it seemed like they were connected in some way. And I've thought about it more and come to realize that each of those moments relates to the message that I want to share with you 8th graders this afternoon. This time of year, as we can tell, is all about looking forward, looking ahead. Just think about everything that's going on around campus this week. We have preparations for graduation. We just had student leader elections for the 21-22 school year. Over in the lower school, our 4th graders just celebrated one of their final moments before they step up to middle school. And of course, we have this very event this afternoon about each of you moving on from the middle school to what's next. All of it is focused on the future. And it's human nature for us to always be looking ahead and to be thinking about the future, to push ourselves toward whatever it is our next life event might be. This phenomenon, I think, tends to be particularly common among people your age, where there's a lot of pressure to always be sprinting in the direction of your older self. What am I going to do for a summer job? In less than 2 years, I'll have my driver's license. Can I get into the accelerated math class next year? Will I make the cut for the varsity team so I can just skip over JV? Where will I go to college after I finish up at Berwick? What career is on the horizon for me? As a culture, we can often be guilty of racing into the future too quickly. And what suffers in that process, of course, is the present. Now, this is not your fault. This is a cultural phenomenon that's been going on for quite some time. And one of the side effects is that you're often pressed to act older regardless of where you are in the process of growing up. A couple of years ago, the BBC proclaimed that childhood ends at the age of 12. There's a Yale University professor named Erica Christakis who wrote in a book, quote, "We are in danger of losing the child in childhood." Another writer recently published a book just a few years back that's entitled Hurried Child Syndrome. You guys are under tremendous pressure to grow up fast, and we can see that pressure just about everywhere we look. From the demands of the college admissions process, which in some cases has students thinking about which classes and extracurricular activities they need to take as early as 5th or 6th grade, to the way products are marketed in advertisements, and sometimes make kids feel like if you don't dress like a teenager at 10, or if you're not in a romantic relationship by 12, that somehow you're falling behind everybody else. Or to the things we see all the time in television and in the movies. Have you guys ever looked up the ages of some of the actors in the movies and TV shows that you watch? You might be surprised to learn that that character who's supposed to be 16 is actually a 25-year-old actor. It happens all the time. The world around you is constantly screaming at you to get older as fast as you can, no matter the consequences. So as you prepare to move on from middle school this afternoon, in the face of this enormous pressure to grow up fast, I'm going to encourage you all to actually do just the opposite. Don't rush to adulthood. Don't pretend to be 22 or 27 or 31 when you're still a teenager. Instead, try thinking in the other direction. Act younger. Now, I want to be really clear about this. When I urge you to act younger, I'm not suggesting that you behave immaturely. Youth and immaturity are not the same thing. Immaturity is about wanting attention. Immaturity is about getting frustrated when you don't get what you want. Immature people throw tantrums and lash out at others in subtle and not so subtle ways. Immature people believe that they're entitled. Immature people believe that the world revolves around them. But acting young, on the other hand, is something entirely different. Acting young means being curious. Think back to when you were in lower school, when something like a butterfly emerging from a chrysalis absolutely blew your mind. Or maybe when you found yourself fascinated by how a ginkgo tree loses all of its leaves at the same time. How is that possible? There's nothing immature about being curious. Acting young means tapping into your natural creativity. Think about when you were younger, how the prospect of art class used to feel like the most exciting thing in the universe. Or think about when you wrote your first story in lower school and you couldn't wait to share it with others. Or the magic in that moment when you first made sounds on a guitar or a violin or a piano that sounded like something close to music. There's nothing immature about expressing yourself creatively and sharing it with others. Acting young also means not being afraid to express joy and excitement. Ask yourself, why don't you hop up and down and shout, "Yay!" as much as you might have when you were 5 or 6 years old? Is it because you really don't have things to be excited about? Or is it because you're worried about what other people will think if you start hopping up and down with excitement and enthusiasm? This is precisely why I gave you guys a shout out at Assembly a couple weeks ago after Spring Fling. That was a day when collectively you did act younger. It was a day when you, pretty much the entire 8th grade, embraced all the kid stuff. You weren't embarrassed to engage and show some excitement. And what is so bad about being excited anyway? Why is detachment and apathy considered the next step as you get older? Don't give in to the pressure. Keep embracing the kid stuff. And I'm not just encouraging you to act younger because I needed something to say in the speech this afternoon or because I wanted to delay your summer vacation by a few extra minutes. This whole thing is actually bigger than you. I'm encouraging you to act younger because the world really needs you to do it. And if you don't believe me, take a look at some of the research that's out there. If we think about growing up in the more traditional manner of being serious, of not playing around, not pursuing curiosities, just getting down to business, we actually lose something really important. And I'll tell you about a study that I think helps make my point. There's a person named George Land. He was a social scientist, and he was hired to design a creativity test to help NASA identify the most innovative engineers and scientists. But the interesting part of the story is that he also gave this same creativity test to a group of 1,600 children multiple times over a 10-year period. When the kids were 5 years old, so in kindergarten, 98% of them scored at the genius level on the creativity test, 98%. 5 years later, they took it at 10, only 30% scored at the genius level. When they took it a third time at 15, just about the age that most of you guys are now, only 12% scored at the genius level. Some years later, another group took that same exact test and gave it to 280,000 adults. Anybody want to guess the percentage of adults who scored at the genius level? I see a 0. That's pretty close. 2%. 2% of adults. Okay, so 98% of 5-year-olds were geniuses when it came to creativity, as opposed to 2% of the adults. So I'll ask you again, what's so great about getting older? The numbers don't lie. We're losing something extremely important as we grow up in the traditional sense of the word. If your version of getting older is to stop being curious, to stop being creative, to stop looking at the world in different ways, to only look for one right answer, and to behave the way that the world tells you that older people should behave, you're not doing yourself any favors, or anyone else for that matter. That's why some organizations out there are trying to find ways to entice their employees to act younger. Google is a great example. A few years ago, a New York Times article described Google's workplaces as playgrounds with desks that looked like they were made of Tinker Toys and scribbles all over the walls. Google ensures that its employees take a chunk of time out of each work to put aside the work that their bosses have assigned them and literally explore something that they're curious about, to play with ideas. So in essence, Google is encouraging and paying, by the way, their employees to act younger. Other companies have started to follow suit since, and it's something that we should all be paying attention to. There's something valuable, maybe even critical, to the future of our society in acting younger. Now, I want to be fair. What I'm asking you guys to do, what I'm encouraging you to do, isn't as simple or as easy as it might sound. On the surface, act younger sounds like a pretty straightforward direction, but we all know that that isn't the case. Most of the world tells you that you shouldn't do it. Your friends may even make fun of you for doing it. The way things work in our culture, a big part of being a teenager involves pretending that you're beyond the kid stuff, that you're done with it, pretending you're above getting excited about little things. And I get it, you guys are facing a lot of pressure to act older, not younger. But growing up doesn't necessarily mean presenting as if you don't care about anything. I'm going to flip my earlier point around. While you can absolutely act younger without being immature, you can also be mature without acting old. Maturity is about responsibility. It's about open-mindedness. Mature individuals possess compassion. They're self-aware. They recognize their strengths, but they're humble about them. They understand their shortcomings, and they demonstrate the resilience to overcome them. Being mature does not mean that you can't laugh or show curiosity and excitement. It doesn't mean all business. In fact, it should be just the opposite. And beyond what I've told you about the NASA creativity test or the workplace environment at Google, you can also look to some of your middle school teachers for examples of what I mean. Miss Stempian bouncing up the stairs and skipping across the great room, that's not immaturity, that's passion. Mr. Small's obsession with anything and everything Star Wars isn't just kid stuff. It's emblematic of his curiosity and his drive to explore and learn more. Ms. Anderson's ability to laugh at herself isn't just the stuff of 6-year-olds. It's a powerful example of humility and an understanding that we're all capable of persevering through whatever setbacks we encounter. Miss Ibsen's unbridled enthusiasm for ducklings and chicks doesn't come from a childish obsession with cuteness, although they are pretty cute. It's actually rooted in a deep appreciation for life and the natural world around us. And Mr. Onken's Onkenness, onkeneity, onkenitis, whatever we want to call it, it's not just unchanneled energy. It's a deep enthusiasm for learning and for ideas and for all the wonder that this world holds. So the point is that your teachers are all bona fide adults, and they're not afraid to get excited about kid stuff. All of these people are highly educated, they have careers, they're raising families, they have all the responsibilities of adulthood, but not a single one of them shies away from kid stuff, and neither should you. So to tie all these thoughts together, I wanted to go for one of culture's fundamental sources of wisdom and see if I could find the perfect quote. So I tried Walt Whitman, came up empty. I tried Maya Angelou, struck out. Tried Shakespeare, no dice, J.K. Rowling, Amanda Gorman. But in the end, the quote that really fits best comes from Andy Bernard from The Office. And I know that many of you are fans of that comedy series, just like I am. But if you're not familiar with The Office, Andy Bernard is a hapless salesman at a struggling paper company in Scranton, Pennsylvania. And no matter what the situation is, Andy just can't seem to get out of his own way. But in the final moments of the series finale, Andy says something so poignant that it almost feels out of place coming from him, and definitely out of place in a comedy series. He says, quote, "I wish there was a way to know you're in the good old days before you've actually left them." Someone should write a song about that. Class of 2025, the next 4 years of high school may very well be your good old days. Or maybe your college years just beyond that will become your good old days. But one way or another, you will soon find yourself in Andy Bernard's shoes, wishing that you'd realized it before those days are behind you. So don't waste your good old days trying to be older than you are. Don't waste your good old days trying to pretend you're too mature or too cool to get excited or too grown up, whatever that means, to care about things. That version of maturity is an illusion. Attack your good old days with curiosity, excitement, creativity, joy. Make the most of your good old days by acting younger, embracing the kid stuff, getting excited about life, and savoring every moment as your true, authentic self, and not the person that the world keeps telling you you ought to be. Cultivate the spirited kindergartner within you, and I promise you that you won't regret it. And maybe someday, someone might even write a song about it. Thank you. So as I said at the beginning, we have a lot to celebrate with the class of 2025, and we're going to begin with our awards portion of the program. These students have contributed in so many ways to our school and to each other's experiences. And tonight we've got a handful of special awards to present, as well as certificates of achievement for all of our 8th graders. And to begin the process, I'd like to welcome our Assistant Athletic Director and Middle School Faculty Member, Travis Durr, to present the Hilltop Awards. Mr. Durr.
It gives me great pleasure to be here to present the Middle School Hilltop Awards. The Hilltop Award is presented each year to graduates of the middle school in recognition of their outstanding athletic skills and accomplishments. There are 2 students that emerged as our Hilltop Award recipients. Our first recipient competed on 2 upper school varsity teams this past year as an 8th grader. She was a significant contributor to both programs and promises to have a bright 4 years ahead of her in high school. I can speak firsthand as her coach this past fall on the girls' varsity soccer team, where she quickly showed that she could hold her own with older players during preseason, and despite her small stature, she would battle. In particular, her skill on the ball and her patience and vision on the field was notable. Sadly, that season felt like a COVID roller coaster, and never was the team able to get into a true rhythm. But in the few games that we had, she was a fierce competitor and has a bright future on the soccer field. In the winter, she competed on the girls' varsity ice hockey team. Her coaches shared that she was consistently the first one out to practice every day. She was dedicated, a passionate competitor on the ice. While this student didn't participate in a traditional spring interscholastic offering, her versatile athletic ability is impressive, and I feel confident that should she choose to pick up a bat, racket, or stick and compete in the spring, she would quickly impress. It is my honor to present the Hilltop Award to Reese Combe. Our second recipient is also quite the versatile athlete. The winter is likely the season where this athlete really shines, but what's arguably more impressive are his contributions and experience with other sports. This spring he played lacrosse, but as a 6th grader played baseball and undoubtedly could have an impact in either sport. In the fall, he played soccer, but as I understand it, plans to compete for the golf team in high school. In the winter, he was on the boys' varsity ice hockey team, and Coach Randall shared that he stepped in seamlessly with the varsity program. He was thrown to the wolves in games against players 4 years older than him. He was calm and collected, showing no sign of jitters or inexperience. Truly remarkable poise and patience. He will become a valued contributor and leader on the varsity program for years to come. Coach Small shared that he possesses an impressive competitive spirit, makes the most of Coach's suggestions, and always puts the team first. On the soccer pitch, he can play any position, and his greatest strength is his ability to make quick decisions and distribute the ball with purpose. Coach Beelan shared, skill set and raw talent aside, he's one of the more coachable and hardest working players I have ever been around at the middle school level. He rarely makes the same mistake twice and will always be the first to congratulate or provide a pick-me-up for teammates. He plays with a deep respect for games as well as with a pride for the name across his chest. And he always has been a team-first player. It is my honor to present the Hilltop Award to Michael Mansfield.
Thank you, Mr. Durr, and congratulations to Michael and Reese. Now we have 2 Clement Middle School awards to present. The Clement Middle School Award is presented annually to 2 students in each grade, recognizing citizenship and contributions to fellow students as well as to Berwick Academy. And as tradition holds, the student's advisor is the one to present the award. So to present our first Clement Middle School Award, please welcome to the stage middle school visual art teacher and 8th grade advisor, Lisa Long.
When I was asked to speak for this year's 8th grade Clement Award winner, I reached out to faculty to ask for help. I was promptly given words like joyful, leader, focused, funny, integrity, grit, and school spirit. This student truly encapsulates the spirit of the Clement Award with their dedication to this community. Ms. McKay said they are, quote, a superstar with fabulous ideas and an energy for school spirit that's contagious. Ms. O'Brien spoke to this student's hardworking, attentive, responsible, and appreciative nature. Ms. Ibsen said they, quote, find joy in learning, sports, leadership, and even in challenging situations. Ms. Ibsen also commented on the students' intense excitement for the arrival of the class's ducklings and how they created a mini spirit day by wearing duck socks to celebrate their hatching. Eliza Small, from my first day, you have been kind and helpful. Your willingness to jump in whenever and wherever was needed for me in my first year teaching at Berwick, and for your fellow advisees, new and old, was immediately and immensely appreciated. You quickly showed your strengths as a leader, teammate, and friend. We had many tough discussions based on current events in advisory this year, and Eliza never shied away from giving her honest and open thoughts, whether they were to speak with confidence of the approach she would take or to admit that she wasn't sure how she'd proceed. Eliza, this willingness to participate even when you're unsure of a correct answer speaks to your courage, self-awareness, and maturity. Please continue to get super excited about advisory, grade level, and school-wide challenges. Continue to engage even when you're not sure you have all the answers. Continue to be kind and helpful to everyone you meet, because each of these things makes you, you. And that delightful young woman is someone we're all privileged to know. Congratulations.
All right, thank you, Ms. Long, and congratulations, Eliza. And to present our second Clement Middle School Award, middle school English teacher and 8th grade advisor, Sarah Anderson.
A few days before the official start of school and my very first day working in the Berwick Academy Middle School this past September, I met this student on Zoom. I had enabled the waiting room feature and watched my advisees' names appear one by one in a list on my screen. Before letting them into the meeting, I felt nervous. Yes, teachers feel nervous sometimes too. I am not sure what I expected, but the prospect of 9, 14, and 15-year-olds whom I'd never met before looking back at me was intimidating. I needed to get over my fear, so I admitted all meeting participants at once, and on the screen, their faces appeared. I didn't need to be nervous. I could tell they were all wonderful from the very first meeting. In this one student's case, his Zoom background appeared first, a wide-angle portrait of a cow's face. Before, I could see his own friendly face. His directness and humor made me feel at ease immediately, and I think helped the group feel relaxed. My advisees might agree that it's strange to think back to a time when we didn't all know each other. They likely would also agree that on the document I have kept all year of funny overheard lines in advisory, many of them came from this student. Noting his dry sense of humor and his ability to consistently stay true to himself, Griffin Nedelka's English teacher, Ali Vandenberg, said to me, "He is who he is all the time, and I love that." Upon meeting Griffin, two things became clear to me. He enjoys life and he cares about others. Those two qualities have remained crystal clear this entire school year. And truly, isn't that what we should all strive to do, to enjoy life and to care for others? As his advisor during this 8th grade year, I have had the benefit of interacting with Griffin or observing him interact with others several times throughout each day. He offers to help. In fact, on more than one occasion, I have heard him helping a student with Latin or math during a study hall or in between classes. He explains concepts or phrases in a calm and steady way. He helps in other ways too, as a friend, a student, a community member. Griffin's social studies teacher, Mr. Beelan, recently described Griffin as thoughtful, considerate, and patient. And I have to agree. He displays all three of those traits when he helps his peers, interacts with classmates, and conducts himself throughout the day. Thoughtful, considerate, and patient people are what make communities work. These traits will serve him well as he moves on to the Berwick Upper School and as he moves on in life in general. Communities also work when people remain open-minded, inclusive of others, and are willing to question what they know or think they know. His science teacher, Ms. Ibsen, recently shared this sentiment. I really appreciate Griffin's thoughtful skepticism in the science classroom. He is not afraid to kindly challenge his classmates, and he is also willing to see the many sides of a topic. In addition to being humorous and genuine, Griffin treats others with respect. Latin teacher Miss Ellie Murphy noted that Griffin possesses a natural warmth. In her really small class, every day he was able to say something positive this year. Even when Latin was really hard or he was stressed out, he found a way to bring his optimism to the class. She noted that for the final project, he chose the hardest topic he could, translating the Aeneid, which is something usually juniors in high school tackle, and he was excited about it. Murphy added, when he could have taken an easier path, he chose to dive into something challenging and put himself into it fully. He's so kind, she said, so genuine. He's a worker, but it's not at anyone else's expense. This award was designed to recognize outstanding citizenship and contributions to fellow students and to Berwick Academy overall, and it seems to fit Griffin perfectly. I'm proud to present this Clement Award to Griffin Nedelka.
right, thank you, Ms. Anderson, and congratulations, Griffin. So finally, it's my pleasure to be able to present this year's 8th grade Cogswell Prize. The William Lambert Cogswell Book Prize is presented each year to the top scholar at each grade level in the middle school. The goal of the Cogswell Prize is to recognize a commitment to outstanding work ethic, authentic curiosity, and a passion for learning, all cornerstones of true scholarship. This year's Cogswell Prize voting was tight, to say the least. We had a number of very deserving students to consider, and when the 8th grade members of the faculty, 8th grade teachers voted, we ended up with 2 students in a tie. So we then conducted a runoff with just those 2 students, and when the votes were counted, they remained in a tie. It's unusual that we do this, but I think it also speaks to their achievement, their work ethic, and their passion. So we're giving 2 book prizes today, 2 Cogswell Book Prizes today. And first, I'm going to recognize Ada Milhauser. Let me share with you some of the words that Ada's teachers shared that speak to why she is so deserving of this award. Quote, Ada is a fun-loving, happy, and joyful student, a quiet force in the classroom who always does her best to look at events and topics from the full 360-degree lens prior to making any conclusions of her own. Ada is a self-motivated, creative, and thoughtful English student. She goes above and beyond. Her 8th grade innovation pursuit is an example of this. Her project was called Exploring World Issues Through Poetry. Not only did she read several poems as part of her project, but she also wrote an original portfolio of her own original poems inspired by world events. Then she went a step farther and contacted a well-regarded published poet and interviewed him over Zoom, making this conversation an integral part of her independent project. Ada is tuned in to the people and situations around her, and she brings a sense of passion to every project she pursues. Ada's compassion for others permeates everything she does in science class. When exploring concepts associated with the coronavirus, Ada chose to highlight the inequities in healthcare for minorities. She blew the judges away in our bioethics debate when she uncovered the ethical concerns that arise when considering how cloning could impact organisms that don't have the ability to give consent. Ada is such a joy to have in class. With the poise of a dancer and the discipline of an artist, she masters anything put in front of her. She also has a great wit and sense of humor. Ada is such a bright light at Berwick. She is intellectually curious and always goes above and beyond the expectations to learn as much as she can. Some of my favorite moments with Ada include when she made aha light bulb moment connections between Tagalog and that she hears at home and the Spanish in the classroom. In class, she is unafraid to express herself, whether she's speaking up with questions or connections, bopping to the music, singing along in Spanish, or dancing. She's a great group partner to have because she is simultaneously fun to work with while keeping the bar high for quality. I've enjoyed her popping into our advisory every morning and afternoon and will miss her cheerful and earnest buenos dias every day. So on behalf of all of our teachers, it's my pleasure to present this 8th grade Cogswell Book Prize to Ada Milhauser. Also receiving the 8th grade Cogswell Book Prize is Tucker Demers. Let me share with all of you some words from some of Tucker's teachers that speak to why he is also deserving of this award. Quote, in English class this year, Tucker was always on task, organized, and productive. During book club meetings with his peers, when they were put in charge of deciding what would be a reasonable number of pages to read on a given night, Tucker was the student who said to his group, let's read more pages, we can do it. He's a deep thinker and a strong collaborator. He's the type of student that other students trust, and he will be a positive addition to any community he joins in his life. Tucker is thoughtful, curious, and unassuming. Although Tucker's style is a bit more reserved in class, when he speaks, people listen. Tucker is a dedicated, thoughtful student, focused, always willing to participate. He makes great connections during our study of protest music. He's patient with his classmates, and he's an enthusiastic singer. Tucker is incredibly observant and driven. He catches details that many overlook. He's always along for whatever adventure we're taking in science, and his curiosity helps to quietly lead his peers. And finally, Tucker is an intrinsically motivated student. He's always there to get as much out of each experience as he can. He's competitive, driven, and keeps his standards high. However, whenever he has the opportunity to help a classmate, he does it because it's the right thing to do. Tucker has a moral compass that is steady and accurate. There is no doubt in my mind that he will always do the right thing, even if no one is watching. He's talented, brilliant, kind, and humble. It's my pleasure on behalf of his teachers to present this 8th grade Cogswell Book Prize to Tucker Demers. So earlier this spring, we asked our 8th grade students to nominate classmates to speak at this afternoon's program. I encouraged them to consider who might best represent their class as a scholar or as a leader or as a contributing member of our school community, and the class of 25 chose 2 excellent speakers for us today. For our first student reading, please welcome Michael Mansfield.
First off, I would like to thank Mr. Hamilton, Mr. Feely, Ms. Beeks, all the middle school faculty and staff, and all the parents and guardians that helped make this year special. And thank you to my class for giving me the honor of speaking today. This sure was a year to remember. From having to adjust to going remote in a day to getting a random spring fling, this year was full of surprises. Despite all the challenges, the class of 2025 persisted and finished the year strong. When we look back on our years in the middle school, we remember so many of the fun memories and all the friends we made along the way. These years will have an effect on the rest of our lives. Even though COVID had a big impact on our experiences, we still made the best with what we had, and we had fun doing it. These experiences have made us a really close class, whether we have been together since daycare or just arrived this year. COVID has definitely taken its toll on us, but it has built us into better people. We have turned an unfortunate situation into something we can learn from. As C.S. Lewis said, hardships often prepare ordinary people for an extraordinary destiny. I think our class can relate to this quote a lot. We were faced with a major hardship that we battled through and made the best of. We learned many meaningful lessons from these experiences. We learned how to not back down from challenges, and we learned how to be persistent. There's no doubt we will keep these skills with us for the rest of our lives. These skills will help us do what we want with our future. I know for a fact that this class will accomplish great things. We are lucky to have learned these lessons so early in our lives. We will be ready for whatever gets thrown at us. I hope that in 20 years, we will be able to look back on our time in the middle school and know that it has prepared us well. Along with learning how to be persistent, we also learned to let go and have fun. From starting the year at the Nadelko's pool parties and ending it at Canopy Lake, we had fun around every corner in the middle school. All 4 years, we enjoyed the blue and white challenges and the Bulldog Cup. We had exciting field trips to Gunstock, Hilltop Fun Center, Mount Major, and Bodeborg, just to name a few. On those days, we were able to let go of our stress and have a day of fun. We've done so much together. We came together as a class and conquered this year in the middle school. I hope that everyone in this tent will look back on these years with happiness and look forward to what's next in life. If you won't be returning to Berwick in the fall, I wish you the best of luck. And if you're staying, I'll see you in September. Thank you.
Thanks, Mikey. Great job. So we've said it before, this has been a challenging school year for all of us in many different ways. And one absence that we've particularly felt during the pandemic here at Berwick has been the absence of student musical performances. So I'm really thrilled today that we're going to be able to offer 2. And first, I'd like to welcome Ms. Kathy O'Brien and our 8th grade strings ensemble, who will perform the piece Voyager. We might need to give them a second to gather their music that's been kind of blowing around up here, but please welcome the strings ensemble. Oh, one more round of applause for our 8th grade strings ensemble. Great job. As I said a few moments ago, the class of 25 selected 2 student speakers and did an excellent job making that choice. And so please welcome to the stage our other 8th grade speaker today, Tori Mabardi.
Here I stand in front of a community made up of diverse individuals with a variety of different interests who have lived through numerous experiences and contain a multitude of traits that make up their wonderful personalities. Despite all that we don't share, there is one tool each of us has had in our possession for quite some time now. This tool will help propel us through life. It has aided our development as human beings through the lessons it has taught us. It has empowered and encouraged us to live life to our fullest potential. This tool is known as the Berwick Academy Middle School Experience. As we move on to high school and begin to realize how far we've come and what has abetted this journey, we must acknowledge all that we've gained from our time in the middle school. While attending this school, each of us has learned or bettered our understanding of what a community is and how it acts. The Berwick Academy Middle School is such a tight-knit community. Within it, we learn how to treat each other right, with kindness and respect. We learn to be empathetic towards one another and understand how others are feeling in order to brighten their day and provide assistance. We learn to be, with this knowledge, we are and will always be able to successfully make an impact on others by spreading positivity and kindness. Those around us will feel appreciated and inclined to replicate such actions. We will ultimately find success, and that is thanks to our Berwick Academy Middle School community. Personally, I have taken a lot from my classes and have grown academically. I can confidently say I am proud of my final stance as we conclude the school year, and I'm equally as confident that each of you can say the same. Despite the COVID-19 pandemic and its impacts, we still accomplished so much. In science class, we each participated in a formal debate with outstanding arguments issued from each side. In social studies, we explored social justice among different racial groups and shared impactful research with our peers. In English, we each produced identity projects that showcased our true nature. In math, we completed the final exam, which celebrated the dozens of topics we mastered throughout the year. In language, everyone became yet another step closer to fluency. In art, through thoughtful design, each of us constructed a unique tiny home. We all deepened our understanding of music theory through our chosen music class. In useful knowledge, we became critical consumers and leaders. And just recently in the spring, we were able to engage in the sports we love thanks to the return of our athletic program, equipped with full practices. With all that the future holds and all that we've endured, I'm confident that we are prepared to face the world. Thankful for all the memories we have shared and all that I have gained from these years, I urge you all to take some time to reflect on your own Berwick Academy Middle School experience.
Thank you, Tori. Great job. And for our second musical performance, I'm excited to welcome to the stage Ariana Jones, accompanied by Ms. Rich on piano. Ariana will be singing Vienna Waits for You.
Slow down, you crazy child. You're so ambitious for a juvenile, but then if you're so smart, afraid. Where's the fire? What's the hurry about? You better cool it off before you burn it out. You got so much to do and only so many hours in a day. Hey, but you know that when the truth is told that you can get what you want or you can just get old, you're gonna kick off before you even get halfway through. Ooh, when will you realize Vienna waits for you? Slow down, you're doing fine. You can't be everything you wanna be before your time, although it's so romantic on the borderline tonight. Too bad, but it's the life you lead. You're so ahead of yourself that you forgot what you need. Though you can see when you're wrong, you know you can't always see when you're right. You're right. You got your passion, you got your pride, but don't you know that only fools are satisfied? Dream on, but don't imagine they'll all come true. Ooh, when will you realize Vienna waits for you? Slow down, you crazy child, and take the phone off the hook and disappear for a while. It's alright, you can't afford to lose a day or two. Ooh, when will you realize Vienna waits for you? And you know that when the truth is told that you can get what you want or you can just get old, you're gonna kick off before you even get halfway through. Ooh, when will you realize Vienna waits for you? Why don't you realize Vienna waits for you?
Thank you, Ari. That was terrific. Beautiful performance. So we are now going to shift gears to our presentation of certificates of achievement. And just to let everybody know, a little housekeeping note. It's okay, I've got it memorized. We will be doing this by advisory group and not alphabetically necessarily. So parents, just so you're aware of that, we'll be asking advisors to come up and present their certificates to their advisees. And we will begin with Ms. Barnes's group. So Ms. Barnes, if you could come on up, and I think Ms. Hill's going to help, that would be great. Thanks. All right, Ms. Barnes's group, if you guys could please come on over. Okay. John Chase Civitrice. Emery C. Eigerman. Alistair Fleming. Parker Paul Jenkins. Ariana Jones. Tegler Michael Knudsen. Eva Rosabella Moshe. Sam Jewel Osgood. Taylor Catherine Ritter. Naya Strong. And if we could now have Ms. Hill's group come to the side of the stage. Tucker Christopher Demers. Addison Gray. Jackson Henry Hamilton. Victoria Charlize Mabardi. Frances Althea McGovern. Sachin Sastry. Anna Smith. Elizabeth B. Tulai. All right. And next, if we could have Miss Ibsen's group come to the stage. Addison Arp. Delaney Ann Cassidy. Seaton Emma Dumas. Kaya Reese Dumas. Gabrielle Marr. Maya K. Rogers. Liliana Joan St. Pierre. Uma Rose Yamin. And if Mr. Beelan's group could please come to the side of the stage. Gus A. Alexander. Ethan Charles Kosker. Chase Q. Fondele. Tessa D. Fondele. Olivia Flynn. Olivia J. Kohlberg. Louis Ross. Zach Shadler Kemp. Sophia Wilhelm. Luca Christian Thomas Yasa. Next up, could we have Miss Long's group come to the side of the stage? Anya Chapachnikova. Reese Caroline Combe. John Walter Guy. Jake McGuire Henry. Finn M. Ingerson. Peter Lucius Richard. Asher Sakwa. Eliza Cecile Small. Alexis Helen Stempian. Bennett Tucker. And could we have Ms. Anderson's group come to the side of the stage? Luke Dorsey. Maya Elizabeth Lerner. Michael Garmy Mansfield. Luke D. Massey. Adrian Louise Milhauser. Griffin A. Nadelka. Zion Runyon. Isaac Stewart. Aiden E. Stockwell. Well, now it is official. You have finished your middle school experience. And even though you're welcome to come back and visit, give us updates on how things are going in the upper school. For now, let's offer one large round of applause to our rising ninth graders, the class of 2025. Now I'd like to welcome our head of school, Jim Hamilton, who will offer his words of congratulations to the class of 25. Mr. Hamilton.
As the guardian at the gate, don't worry, I only have about 25 minutes or so. Good afternoon, and what a great afternoon it is to be with all of you. Congratulations to our 8th graders on the successful completion of middle school. Congratulations to our awards winners for your outstanding work. Thanks to Naya and John, Mikey, Tori, the amazing strings group, and Ari for sharing your talents with us this afternoon. Parents, it's so great to see you. So many faces that I've missed seeing on campus this year, and I know also that there are new parents in the room that I haven't had the chance to meet in person. Know that I'm sorry that we haven't seen more of each other in person this year, and I so look forward to so many great in-person events on and off campus next year. To you, thank you for your trust and your partnership in what has been a year of years. Not only did you support your student, but you helped us stay safe through your vigilance at home. I am grateful for all that you did and for the partnership you displayed throughout the year. Parents and students together, I hope that you will join me in another round of applause for the middle school faculty who worked tirelessly this year, day and night, in person and remotely, to deliver our program. Thank you. Eighth graders, I so enjoyed getting to know all of you during our time together in Useful Knowledge this winter. It was clear to me from that experience that you are a spirited and talented bunch. I appreciated your willingness to welcome me and Mrs. Smucker into your classroom, and especially your willingness to speak publicly, which you all did beautifully. I would like to offer special congratulations on your success, given the abnormal nature of the year. You persevered through our transition. You wore masks, mostly. You wiped in and out. You understood our need to stay in pods, and you transitioned in and out of remote or quarantine well. Thank you for all of those efforts. I would be remiss not to mention the turbulent times that we have experienced as a country over the course of the school year. As you prepare for the summer and high school, know that you are equipped to be part of the change. Think back to the time that you spent with Mr. Buenceseso and the lessons learned. I have just 3 quick pieces of advice. In these times, strive for understanding. Educate yourselves, read, and listen, listen, listen. Honor people's experience. As hard as it might be to put ourselves in someone else's shoes, we must honor someone's lived experience. And third, understand that silence can equal approval, especially around your friends. The best friends are the ones who will tell us to our faces that we are out of line. While it might seem like your small actions might not make a difference to them, anyway, if we all do that, we will make a difference. To those of you who are moving on from Berwick for high school, know that we will miss you and we wish you well. I also want to be clear that Berwick will always be your school, and we look forward to staying in touch with you as you write your story. To those of you just moving across the quad, we look forward to seeing you grace the halls of Fogg. You are going to love that experience, and our upper school is going to be better for having you. Finally, I want to thank your parents, and I hope you do the same. You have amazing people guiding you along this path, and they care about you more than you know. Thank you for a great year, and have a great summer. Congratulations and good luck.
Thank you, Mr. Hamilton. So we're ready to close our Grade 8 Baccalaureate program, and we have one last piece, which is a lovely slideshow that was created by our Assistant Director of Communications, James Reynolds. So if you can direct your attention to one of the 2 monitors beside the stage, we'll enjoy that before we wrap up. Thanks, Mr. Reynolds, for that terrific slideshow. Before we close this afternoon's baccalaureate program, just a quick housekeeping note. In a moment, the students will recess from the tent, the same entry that they came through at the beginning, and they will head over to the BD lawn by the Burley-Davidson building. The middle school faculty will recess from the tent just behind the students, and after that, parents, family members, guests, friends are encouraged to join us on the BD lawn for photographs and congratulations. Thank you all again so much for being here this afternoon to celebrate this amazing group of students, and one last time, congratulations to the class of 2025.